There comes a time in every life when the weight becomes too much to carry, when the doors seem shut no matter how hard we knock, and the answers we desperately seek appear lost in the silence. We look at the chaos around us, shattered dreams, broken relationships, sickness, fear, financial burdens, and wonder if there is any hope left at all. In those moments, when the heart is weary and the soul cries out, there is a still small voice that calls us not to give up, not to run, but to trust. Trust not in what we see or understand, but trust in the one who sees the end from the beginning, the one who was there before the storm and will remain standing when the winds die down. Trust is not a weakness. It is a mighty weapon in the hands of those who know that their help does not come from human strength, but from a divine source that never fails. No matter the darkness of your current situation, there is a God who is not only able, but willing to step into your brokenness and restore what has been lost. This isn't about religion or ritual, it's about surrender. It's about placing your life, your fears, your confusion, your future into the hands of a faithful God who has never lost a battle. And I'm here to tell you today, He will fix your situation. Not maybe, not someday, but in His perfect way and in His perfect time. Trust Him, because when you do, you'll discover that the very thing meant to break you will become the testimony that makes you. There is a season in life when everything seems to fall apart. You look around, and the things you once depended on no longer stand. The people you trusted are no longer near. The dreams you carefully built begin to crumble like dust in your hands. In that place of brokenness, it's easy to believe that all is lost, that the storm has won, and that the night will never end. But let me remind you of a truth greater than the winds that rage and the waves that crash. God is in the middle of the storm with you. It's in the brokenness that God does His deepest work. Not when you are strong and everything is in order, but when you are weak and feel like there is nothing left to hold on to. That's when grace steps in. That's when mercy speaks louder than your fear. That's when the Savior walks into the middle of your storm, not to just calm the sea around you, but to calm the storm within you. You see, faith doesn't mean the storm won't come. Faith means that when the storm does come, you're not alone.
Faith isn't proven in peaceful moments. It's forged in the fire of adversity. Trusting God when everything makes sense is easy.
But trusting Him when your heart is shattered, when your prayers seem unanswered, when you're walking through the valley and can't see the mountain, that is where true trust is born. Look back at the pages of your life.
There were moments you thought you wouldn't survive, and yet here you are. Not because you had it all together, not because you were perfect, but because God showed up. He came through when you didn't know how you'd make it. He picked you up when you had no strength to stand, and if He did it before, He will do it again. There is power in the process. The storm is not a sign that God has forgotten you. It's a sign that He's preparing you. Preparing your heart, preparing your character, preparing your faith. He never wastes pain. He never wastes tears. Every moment of brokenness is being used to shape something eternal in you. Sometimes God allows us to lose what we thought we needed so we can gain what we truly need, His presence. Because when all else fades, when the applause stops, when the plans fall apart and all you have is Him, you realize that He is more than enough. The foundation that cannot be shaken is not your job, not your health, not your status, but your trust in the one who holds the storm in His hands. And here is the beauty. God doesn't just want to bring you out of the storm. He wants to bring you through it changed, stronger, wiser, closer to Him than ever before. What was meant to break you becomes the very thing that builds you. The storm doesn't have the final word. God does. So today, if you're in the middle of a storm,
financially, emotionally, spiritually. Don't let the waves convince you to give up. Don't let the thunder make you forget who is in the boat with you. Lift your eyes beyond the trouble and fix them on the one who walks on water. Trust him, even when you don't understand, even when it hurts, even when it feels like nothing is changing, because while you're waiting, he is working. Behind the scenes, inside your heart, in ways you can't yet see, your breakthrough is not coming from the outside. It starts inside, when you shift your eyes from your problem to his promise, when you stop wrestling and start resting, when you believe not in what your eyes see, but in what your spirit knows, that he is faithful and he is not finished with you yet, there will be a day when you look back on this storm and thank God for it. Not because it was easy, but because it brought you closer to him. Because it stripped away what didn't matter and revealed what truly does. Because it reminded you that when the world fails, God remains. So press on, keep standing, keep praying, keep believing. The wind may blow and the rain may fall, but the anchor still holds. And when the clouds part and the sun breaks through, you'll know it wasn't your strength that carried you, but the hand of a faithful God who never let go. From brokenness to breakthrough, it's not just a phrase, it's a journey, and you're not walking it alone. The same God who allowed the storm is the same God who will bring you out of it, not barely surviving, but fully restored. With a testimony on your lips and a fire in your soul, trust him. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. There are moments in life when all the evidence around you seems to say it's over. You've prayed and nothing changed. You've waited and nothing moved. You've cried yourself to sleep wondering if your voice even reached heaven. And in those long, painful silences, a question whispers in your heart. Where is God now? You may not see a way forward, you may not feel hope rising, but let this truth burn deep within your spirit. God is still working. Yes, even in the silence, even in the waiting, even when the path ahead is hidden and your strength is all but gone. Just because you don't see him doesn't mean he's absent. Just because you don't feel him doesn't mean he's not near. The God who spoke the universe into existence is not bound by what your eyes can see or your mind can comprehend. He doesn't need a door to open. He can make a way in the wilderness. He doesn't need a map to guide you. He is the way. Sometimes God's greatest works are done in secret. The roots of a tree grow in the dark before it ever breaks through the soil. The baby forms in the hidden place of the womb before the world ever sees its face. And your miracle, your breakthrough, your answered prayer may be forming right now where you cannot see. Don't mistake delay for denial. Don't confuse silence for absence. He is working beneath the surface, behind the scenes, preparing everything for just the right moment. When Joseph was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit, it looked like God had forgotten him. But the whole time heaven was arranging a throne in Egypt. When Moses was driven into the wilderness, tending sheep for 40 years, it seemed like the dream was over. But God was shaping a deliverer. When the Israelites stood at the edge of the Red Sea, with nowhere to run and the enemy closing in, all hope seemed lost, but God was getting ready to part the waters. He was making a way where there was no way. That same power, that same faithfulness is still at work today, in your story, in your life. You may feel like you've run out of options. The bank account is empty. The doctor's report is heavy. The marriage is broken. The burden is too much, but God is not limited by human resources. He is not intimidated by statistics. He is not restrained by time. When there is no door, he becomes the door. When there is no road, he speaks one into being. When there is no hope left in you, he becomes the hope that cannot be shaken. You see, God's ways are not our ways. His timing is not our timing. We live in the instant. We want everything now, but he moves in the eternal. He is not rushed, he is not late, he is always, always on time. And though we may feel forgotten, though we may feel stuck, the truth is we are right in the middle of the process. The potter does not abandon the clay. The shepherd does not lose sight of the sheep. The father does not turn his face from his children. What he promised, he will fulfill. What he began, he will complete. He doesn't start stories he doesn't intend to finish. So trust him when it's dark. Trust him when it's quiet. Trust him when the road is long and the night feels endless. Because even when you cannot see the hand of God, you can trust his heart. There's a kind of faith that stands tall when everything makes sense. But there's a deeper faith, a refining faith that stands even when nothing does. That says, I don't see the way, but I know the one who makes a way. That holds on through tears, that lifts its eyes in the valley, that praises even with a trembling voice. That's the faith that moves mountains. That's the faith that brings heaven into the chaos of earth. Right now, you may be in a season of uncertainty, but your situation is not the end of the story. God is writing a testimony with your life. The pages you don't understand now will one day be the very chapters that encourage someone else. The pain you're walking through will one day be proof that God heals. The prayers you're praying now in weakness will become shouts of victory in the days to come. Don't let the enemy convince you that it's over. Don't let the darkness drown out the light of truth. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. And you are certainly not finished. God has not brought you this far to leave you. He has not led you into this wilderness to let you die there. There is a promised land ahead. There is a purpose for this pain. There is a way being made even now. So hold on, press on, lean in. The season may be hard, but the harvest will be worth it. The storm may rage, but the anchor still holds. The questions may be many, but the answer is still one. God is with you, and he is working. Always working. You may not see it now, but one day you will look back and say, he was there all along. In the end, it won't be your strength that gets you through. It will be his grace. It won't be your plans that open the door. It will be his power. And when you stand on the other side of this trial, when you walk through the door that only he could open, when you experience the miracle you stopped hoping for, you'll know it was never about what you could do. It was always about what he was doing faithfully, quietly, powerfully, making a way when there seemed to be no way. There is something about waiting that tests the very fabric of our soul. We live in a world that moves fast, a world that teaches us that everything should come quickly. Success, healing, answers, breakthrough, but there is a truth deeper than time, a truth greater than the clock that ticks on our wall. And that truth is this: just because God delays does not mean he has denied. His silence is not his absence. His timing is not a punishment. It is perfect, precise, and filled with purpose. There are many walking through life today with heavy hearts, wondering if their prayers will ever be answered. They've knocked on heaven's door, they've cried in the midnight hour, they've hoped against all odds. And yet the answer has not come, the situation has not shifted, the healing hasn't arrived, the breakthrough hasn't burst through the clouds. It feels like the heavens are shut tight, but let me tell you today, delay is not denial. Our human minds measure progress by what we can see and feel. But God is working in dimensions far beyond our senses. He does not rush because we are uncomfortable. He does not move just to calm our impatience. He moves when all things are aligned for his glory and for our good. What we call waiting, he calls preparing. What we think is a pause, he sees as a process, because he is shaping us for something greater than we imagined. Think of the farmer. He plants the seed and then waits. He doesn't panic when the sprout doesn't appear overnight. He doesn't dig up the soil to check if something is happening. He trusts the process. Why? Because the seed is alive though hidden. The rain will come, the sun will rise, the roots will take hold, and in the right season the harvest will appear. So it is with the promises of God in your life. Just because you don't see the answer doesn't mean it's not coming. Just because the door hasn't opened doesn't mean it never will. He who holds tomorrow is not limited by today. He sees the end from the beginning. He knows the dangers ahead that you do not. He knows the strength you need that you have not yet built. He knows the weight of the blessing, and he is training your spirit to carry it without breaking. Look at the stories that echo through the pages of Scripture. Abraham waited 25 years for the promise of a son. Joseph waited years in a prison cell for a dream he didn't forget. Moses waited 40 years in the desert before he led a nation to freedom. David was anointed king, but waited years running from Saul before he ever sat on a throne. And Jesus waited 30 years before he ever preached his first sermon. Delay does not mean God has changed his mind. Delay does not mean you are disqualified. Delay simply means he is doing more than you can see right now. He is weaving things together in the hidden place. He is aligning people, places, and moments to come together at the right time. If he gave it too soon, you might not be ready. If he moved too early, it might not last. He waits, not because he enjoys your pain, but because he values your future. There is beauty in this waiting season, though you may not see it now. It is in the waiting that your faith is refined. It is in the silence that your trust grows deep. It is in the delay that your roots go down, so that when the answer comes, you don't just receive it, you can sustain it. Many people give up right before the answer comes. They walk away from the door right before it opens. They loosen their grip on the promise when they were one moment away from the miracle. But not you. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not invisible to the God who formed you. His eyes are on you. His hand is on your story, and his timing is never late. There will come a day when you look back on this waiting season and thank God for it, because what he did in you during the delay will be the very strength you stand on in the days ahead. He is not only fixing your situation, he is forming your character. He is deepening your faith. He is proving that what he gives is not temporary, but eternal. That what he builds will not collapse when the winds blow. So lift up your eyes today. Don't let the delay steal your hope. Don't let the waiting break your spirit. Trust the timing of the one who holds tomorrow. He has not forgotten you. He is not punishing you. He is preparing you. And when the time is right, the answer will come. The door will open. The chains will break. The healing will flow. And it will come not a moment too early or a second too late. Until then, worship in the waiting, praise in the process, thank him for what he's doing, even if you can't see it yet, because he is faithful, he is true, and he is worth trusting, even when the road is long. Delay is not the end of your story. It is the chapter before the breakthrough. Keep walking, keep believing, keep standing on the promise. The one who holds tomorrow is holding you, and his timing is right on time. When you look out at this world and see the chaos, the pain, the suffering, the uncertainty, it's easy to let fear walk right through the door of your heart. You hear the doctor's report and feel your knees weaken. You open your bank account and wonder how you'll make it to the end of the month. You watch your children struggle, your relationships bend under pressure, and your dreams sit still like they've been caged. Fear creeps in, slowly, and then suddenly it grabs hold. But there is a voice that cuts through the darkness, a voice calling your soul not to be afraid, not because danger doesn't exist, not because life is always easy, but because the one who rules the storm is still seated on the throne. Faith is not a denial of reality. It does not say the diagnosis isn't real or the bills aren't due. It doesn't ignore the pain, the betrayal, the heartbreak. Faith looks the storm in the face and says, I know my God is greater. It says, I don't know how, but I believe He will. It says, I'm tired, but I trust His strength. Faith is a decision, a posture of the soul that chooses to anchor itself in what is eternal rather than what is fleeting. Fear says, what if? Faith says, even if. And that kind of trust doesn't come from strength of will or a positive mind. Instead, it comes from walking close to the heart of God, knowing Him, talking to Him, leaning into Him when the waves rise. There are things in life you can't fix, no matter how hard you try. You can't always change that person. You can't undo the past. You can't always find the answer to your pain. But here's the good news. You're not required to control what was never yours to hold. There's a kind of peace that enters your spirit when you stop striving and start surrendering. When you say, Lord, I've done all I can now, I place it in your hands. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. You weren't designed to carry the weight of the world. You were created to walk with the one who holds it all. There are moments in life where the more you try to fix something, the more broken it becomes. You try to push doors open and they slam shut. You chase people who continue to walk away. You search for answers and only find more questions. It's in those very places that God gently whispers, let me. Let me carry it, let me restore, let me fight, let me lead, and when you release your grip, when you take your hands off what you were never meant to control, that's when His power is made perfect. That's when His peace wraps around you like a warm blanket on a cold night. That's when fear has no choice but to flee. Fear thrives in the unknown. It loves the shadows. It feeds on the what-ifs and maybes. But faith is the light that exposes its lies. Faith reminds you that you are not alone. That no matter what you walk through, the shepherd walks with you. Even in the valley, even in the dark, even when you don't understand, He is there. And if He is with you, who or what can truly be against you? Faith does not guarantee a life without storms, but it guarantees that you will never face them alone. Sometimes letting go feels like giving up, but in the kingdom of heaven, letting go is where miracles begin. That burden you've been carrying, that pain, that fear, that regret, it is not yours to bear alone. Lay it down. Lay it at the feet of the one who stretched His arms wide for you, the one who took every sin, every sickness, every sorrow upon Himself so that you wouldn't have to walk this road in your own strength. Trusting Him doesn't mean you'll never cry or wonder why. It means when you do, your tears will fall into hands that understand, hands that heal. You might be standing at a crossroad right now. Maybe life hasn't gone the way you hoped. Maybe you've been betrayed, rejected, or simply worn out. Maybe fear has become your silent companion. But there's a decision waiting for you, a sacred decision to trust. To believe that the same God who kept you through yesterday's battles will carry you through tomorrow's storms. To believe that even when the answers don't come and the road feels long, He is working. Not always in the way you expect, not always on your timetable, but always for your good. Fear will tell you that you're not enough, that you're alone, that things will never change. But faith will remind you that you are deeply loved, eternally seen, and never forgotten. Faith will steady your feet on rocky ground and lift your eyes beyond what is to what can be. Faith will give you courage when everything else says run. It will give you strength when you've got nothing left. It will be the whisper in your soul when everything around you screams chaos. That still, small voice that says, be still, I am God. There's a freedom in living this way, a joy that rises even in sorrow, a hope that doesn't depend on circumstances, a peace that cannot be stolen, because when you let God handle what you can't control, you begin to live with a new kind of strength. You stop trying to manipulate outcomes or please everyone or fix everything.
You simply walk in obedience, step by step, trusting that the one who writes your story hasn't missed a single detail. So today, choose faith. Choose to believe that your life is held, not by chance, but by purpose.
Choose to trust that even in delay, even in silence, God is working. Choose to walk forward, not because you have it all figured out, but because you know the one who does. The battle is not yours. The weight is not yours. The future is not yours to fear. Lay it all down and rise, child of God, in peace, in strength, in unshakable faith. There are moments in life when the weight of pain seems too heavy to bear. Times when the sky turns dark, and hope feels like a fading ember instead of a roaring flame. We walk through heartbreaks, disappointments, betrayals, and seasons of silence that make us question if we've been forgotten. The trial stretches on, the burden presses down, and we wonder if anything good could possibly come from the storm we're in. But the truth remains unshaken. There is one who watches, who sees, who holds your life not loosely, but with purpose, precision, and care. And in his hands your trial is never wasted. It's the very soil where triumph is born. You see, what looks like a breaking point to you is often a birthing point to God. What seems like the end of the road is where his plans begin to unfold. He doesn't see as man sees. While we mourn what we've lost, he's already shaping what we'll gain. While we cry over closed doors, he's preparing us to walk through gates we never imagined. You are not just suffering, you are being shaped. Not just hurting, you are being healed. Not just tested, you are being trained. And in time, what once seemed like the darkest season of your life will become the testimony that lights the way for someone else. Look back on your life, think of the battles you thought would break you. The nights you cried yourself to sleep, the prayers you whispered in desperation, and yet here you are, not because you had the strength, but because grace carried you, because God wasn't finished, because even in your weakness, he was working. Every tear has meaning, every trial has purpose. He wastes nothing, not your pain, not your waiting, not your wondering. It all becomes part of a divine process that leads to a deeper strength, a greater purpose, and a louder praise. Triumph doesn't always come dressed in glitter and applause. Sometimes it comes quietly through scars that now carry stories of survival. It comes through a heart that's still soft after being broken, through a spirit that still believes after disappointment, through a voice that still praises after loss. That is triumph, not the absence of suffering, but the presence of unshakable faith in the midst of it. And the beauty of it all is that you don't have to manufacture it on your own. You don't have to fake strength or pretend you're okay. You simply place it in his hands, your situation, your questions. Your hurt, your future, all of it. When the fire gets hotter, it's not to consume you, it's to refine you, to burn away fear, to purify your faith, to reveal the gold that's been hidden beneath the surface all along. Pressure produces power, resistance builds resilience, pain often opens the door to purpose, and though it feels like a setback, it's actually a setup for something greater than you could have dreamed. He is not just getting you through it, he's transforming you in it. You will not come out the same. You will come out stronger, wiser, bolder, more compassionate, more surrendered, more equipped. People may not understand what you're walking through. They may judge your pain, dismiss your struggle, overlook your worth. But heaven has not overlooked you. You are not forgotten in the crowd, not forsaken in the fire. The same hand that flung stars into space holds every broken piece of your heart. He knows what you've lost, what you fear, what you hope for, and He's already written the ending, not one of defeat, but of victory, not one of despair, but of destiny. You are not stuck, you are in process. You are not finished, you are being formed. There's a miracle on the other side of this mountain. There's a testimony waiting to rise from your tears. There's a song that will be birthed in the silence. And when you look back, you'll realize that the very thing you thought would destroy you was the thing that brought you closer to your Creator. You'll say, I didn't like the process, but I love who I became through it. I didn't understand it then, but now I see the beauty in the breaking. Now I know the strength that comes from surrender. Now I understand the victory that comes through the valley. Don't let your current situation convince you that your story is over. You may be in the middle of the sentence, but the author is still writing, and he doesn't write tragedies for his children. He writes redemption. He writes restoration. He writes resurrection. There is no pit so deep that his hand cannot reach, no scar so painful that he cannot heal, no failure so final that he cannot rewrite the outcome. Your trial is not the end, it is the beginning of something holy, something eternal, something powerful. So lift your head even if it's heavy, stand on the promise even if your legs shake, worship through the tears, trust through the silence. Keep walking even when you don't understand the way, because you are not walking alone. You are not suffering alone. You are not enduring this for nothing. You are walking through fire with the fourth man beside you. You are marching toward triumph with heaven cheering you on. This is not the end of you, it is the making of you. Not the defeat of your dream, but the refining of your calling. And in time you will rise from this. You will see the light again. You will sing again. You will dance again. Because he turns mourning into joy. He exchanges ashes for beauty. He rewrites trials into triumphs. And he is holding your life every step, every breath, every tear in his divine hands. So take heart, weary soul. What feels like the end is only the beginning in his hands. The pain, the pressure, the silence, all of it is part of a divine plan that's shaping you for something greater. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not defeated. Heaven is working even when earth is silent. And one day you'll look back and see how every tear watered the seeds of your triumph. Stand firm in faith. Keep walking with courage, because your trial is being transformed, and your life, every part of it, is in divine hands.